It's Friday the 13th. Bad luck comes your way if you touch that dial.
You're lucky to be in time to catch these stories on tonight's newscast. Police finally cracked down on prostitution. They raid 5 establishments allegedly carrying out the world's oldest profession.
And the CNMI budget is now in 3 parts. Speaker Tomas Villagomez hopes this speeds up its passage.
And a local attorney remains in critical condition, but family members say he's showing signs of improvement.
Those stories and more next on KMCV News 7.
Buenas noches para todo hamzu tau tau saipan, tinian and luta, guahusi glen wakai.
Good evening and welcome to the end of the week cast of KMCV News. I'm Nanette Miranda. Thanks for joining us this evening.
We'll have weather and sports a little later, but first, topping our news this evening. Sex for sale. The CNMI law banning such activity has been sitting on the books for over 6 months. KMCV News has been investigating prostitution in the Commonwealth, and the ban was finally enforced in a big way. Last night, we rode along with police officers on a prostitution bust. The world's oldest profession was about to take the night off. Over 30 officers from the Criminal Investigation Division were dispatched to 5 establishments. They hit the executive services in Garapan and Susupi, Bonita Nights in Chalan Lao Lao, the Fragrant nightclub in Susupi, and the Double Shot nightclub in Kuala Rai. We followed the police van as it pulled into the Double Shot parking lot. Paul Ogumoro came with arrest warrants in hand. For the past 5 weeks, DPS officers have been working undercover, gathering information leading to the warrants. Officers gathered the 14 or so employees to find the 5 that were cited. It became a matter of matching warrants with individuals. The first to be handcuffed and taken away was Teresa Bigay.
Well, why only me? Everybody's going on. Everybody.
Bigay wasn't alone. 2 of her colleagues were also restrained and sent out the door. All 3 are charged with prostitution and could face 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. Also arrested was Double Shot manager Evelyn Lowe. On a previous night, KMCV News went undercover and had this discussion with her. What you're about to hear are negotiations to take home one of the hostesses.
That one battery now?
That one?
Yeah, can do?
No.
Cannot? Has to be...
Yes, already an appointment.
What about the one before her?
Yeah, I can talk to her.
Can? How much? How much?
When you come back later?
2 o'clock? But
What was it?
how much? 250?
Yeah, for the mother.
For the month? Alright. Okay, very good.
For her actions, Lowe is charged with promoting prostitution, which carries a maximum of 5 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Within 15 minutes, the operation was over and the 4 suspects were on their way to jail. That's where they were questioned and booked. These 4 had to share cells with 13 others rounded up in the evening's bust. This morning, the 16 women and 1 man were walked over to Superior Court for their bail hearing. They went before Judge Alex Castro. All were released on bonds or given to third-party custodians. Public Defender Dan D'Arienzo says prostitution is a victimless crime, and the Attorney General should be focusing its attention elsewhere.
What about the violent crime? Why aren't those people being looked into?
Assistant Attorney General Cheryl Gill says prostitution is not a victimless crime.
The people, through their legislators, have made a determination that as a society they do not want to see prostitution to occur in the CNMI, then it is not a victimless crime. The victim is the CNMI.
D'Arienzo says the CNMI could itself be taken to court for the way it treated the alleged prostitutes. Upon interviewing the defendants, he was shocked to see 16 women stuffed into 3 cells.
When I first walked into the jail this morning, I was horrified to see 6 women sitting in a small room with only one bed. They were kept there from 9 o'clock last night until 9 o'clock this morning, 12 hours in one room. None of them got any sleep. I feel that that's cruel and unusual punishment for them.
Cheryl Gill says that cramped conditions are DPS's responsibility. She's only tasked in prosecuting cases. Meanwhile, D'Arienzo says the raids were needless and those cited should have simply been given a summons to appear in court.
If somebody's broken the law, yes, they should be prosecuted. But to do it in the way that they are doing it, I think is wrong. Yes, just to try to make a show, I don't think this should be made into a show.
Of the 17 individuals that showed up in court, 9 were Filipinas. The rest were Korean and Chinese nationals. Philippine Consul Renato Villapando says his office is already assessing how many Filipinas may be involved with prostitution.
As far as the Philippine government is concerned, we do not allow or we do not condone the exportation of labor or alien worker of such a category.
Villapando supports DPS's crackdown on prostitution and hopes such raids serve as a deterrence.
I'm concerned because this might lead to, violence, some kind of AIDS, and it will further increase the animosity between the Filipino women and the locals, and that is not that will reflect in a bad image.
An arraignment for all 17 has been scheduled for Monday morning. DPS Director Gregorio Camacho says his officers will continue to enforce all laws in the Commonwealth. Meanwhile, the author of the anti-prostitution law, Anna Taragetsu, was overwhelmed by news of last night's raids. In a media release, she stated the historic event should send a clear message that the people of the Commonwealth will not condone any form of prostitution.
The fiscal year 1993 budget has been divided into 3 sections by the House Ways and Means Acting Chairman, Congressman Pete Rages. Speaker Tomas Villagomez says he hopes this will hasten its passage through the legislature.
We're hoping that if we do pass it in the House, on 3 separate, appropriation, hopefully, at least some departments will get it, and the, 4 essential departments, like I mentioned, PSS, DPS, CHC, and the college, should be addressed on the second package in there. I'm hoping that when we do get into a session on the next session, hopefully Monday, then the Senate can really show what they're really asking in there, whether they're gonna go ahead with the budget or come back again and ask for their personal needs in there.
Senate President Juan Demapon wants to clarify the record as to which House has had more time with the budget than the other. In a news release issued yesterday, Demapon says the budget has been with the House of Representatives for 8 of the past 10 months. And in court news today, the first of 6 men arrested in a buy-bust ICE operation last month is ordered to stand trial next month. Angelito Manaay faces 2 of the 3 counts he was originally charged with, possession and delivery of a controlled substance. In the meantime, he appeared in Superior Court this morning for a bail modification hearing. Manaay's attorney, Ray Yana, asked that his client's bail be reduced from $250,000 and that he be released to a third-party custodian. Special Judge Rex Kozak granted that motion and accepted a $100,000 property bond. Manaay is scheduled to be released to his brother-in-law, Joaquin F. Torres, as soon as the paperwork for the property bond is completed. The trial is set for September 13th.
Coming up next, the Republican Party is ready with its announcements for this coming election.
And Friday the 13th is usually a night for ghouls. No, tonight's not different.
Attorney James Grizzard remains in extremely critical condition in a Honolulu hospital, but family members say he's showing signs of improvement. He was also exhibiting signs of responsiveness. Grizzard is in the intensive care unit at Kuakini Hospital, where he was shipped last night after being injured Monday night. Attorney Grizzard, who is 59 years old, is a longtime resident of the NMI. He was injured around 11 o'clock Monday night at the Cafe Magumbo when he tried to break up a heated argument between fellow attorneys David Wickline and Ted Mitchell. According to eyewitness accounts of the incident, attorney Ted Mitchell shoved Grizzard backwards. He struck his head on a cigarette machine and was knocked unconscious. Surgery to alleviate Grizzard's brain injury triggered several heart attacks. The severity of his condition necessitated further treatment first in Guam and then in Hawaii. The sequence of events that led up to Grizzard being injured are being disputed. The Grizzard family, Magumbo employees, and a number of patrons present that night have stated that Ted Mitchell's actions that night resulted in the Grizzard being injured. Mitchell has stated that he was protecting himself from an attack by Grizzard. According to the Attorney General's Chief Prosecutor Cheryl Gill, no charges have been filed yet. She says the case is still being investigated. Several of the witnesses making statements on Monday. Gill says she's being kept informed as to Grizzard's condition by his family members, but still needs more facts about his medical condition and long-term prognosis. Gill says the earliest that charges could be filed is Monday. Yesterday afternoon, Mitchell retained the services of Guam criminal defense attorney Howard Trapp. And the elections are less than 3 months away, and the Republican Party is ready to come out with its endorsements. GOP Chairman Ben Fitial says there will be a general membership meeting tonight to announce all of them. All candidates that the party will support, he says, have met all their requirements and have paid their fees. The gathering is in just a few minutes at 6:30 at the north side of the Veterans Memorial Monument in Susupi. Tomorrow, a big kickoff rally with all the candidates will be held at the same place from 11 to 4 in the afternoon.
As politicians rev up for the elections, the academic community hopes that students will get into gear for their own futures. Northern Marianas College will be holding a seminar tomorrow on all the basic aspects of college and college life. Instructor John Gonzalez thinks that by painting a picture of what their experience will be like, students will be more likely to stay in school.
The main thrust of this seminar, I hope, and I will hope to do, is to get the actual facts out there, not to exaggerate the unreal, to give them pinpoints or some hints or pointers about going to college, surviving the stress, surviving homesickness, surviving being away from home, and all these other things associated with college, and in hopes of getting them encouraging them to go abroad and realizing all these stuff.
Gonzalez, however, hopes to do more than just lecture. He wants to inspire his students to graduate college successfully.
What I mean by graduate successfully is to have that motivation, the drive to be the best they can be. Not just, okay, I got a C, that's fine. To try to exceed and go beyond the limits of the sky. And I've done that, at least in my part. And yes, it was a lot of struggle, but with determination, persistence, and focus, and motivation, anything is possible.
The seminar again is tomorrow, and it will be held at the Joten Kizu Library from 2 to 5 o'clock. The cost is $5. Meanwhile, those already planning to attend NMC this fall, new student orientation is on Monday at the Student Lounge at 9 a.m. And you may have noticed that today is Friday the 13th, and if you haven't run into any bad luck yet, the day isn't quite over. There are rumors that Dracula is on island.
This 385-year-old native of Transylvania has been seen lurking the darkness of Saipan, recruiting residents into vampirehood. His latest victim, Ken McKinney.
I will be Dracula.
Such creatures can only be seen at night, as daylight is very harmful for them.
And what do you do for fun, Dracula? What are your hobbies?
I sleep a lot. Sleep during the day and go out and party at night. Go sing karaoke, pick up on a couple of the girls in Garapan.
Not just Garapan, we spotted him preying on women in the only eye offices of FHP, displaying the charm only a vampire could.
So what are you doing tonight? Do you want to go out? And we'll have red wine.
Seriously, folks, McKinney is the lead actor in the upcoming play Dracula. He moseyed on over to FHP for the fitting of his fangs, specially made by dental assistant Nancy Wallace. But according to the play's director, teeth aren't the only props Dracula will need. She says he'll be getting red contacts and long fingernails, among other things.
At 385 years old, he's not going to look like the way he does now. So we have a lot of changes to make. He'll have very little hair, and he won't be shaped quite the same way on his face, and a lot more wrinkles. And there are special things like latex and spirit gum and bald masks and things like that we have to purchase in order to make this happen. He's going to be an ugly dude.
This version of Dracula will be very different from any other.
Sherlock Holmes is the antagonist here. He's the one that confronts Dracula with his life, and they become instant enemies. And so the story is based on their confrontation with each other.
To give viewers a peek of the play, we asked McKinney to read a line from the script.
It will be light soon. We will rest now. Follow me.
God, I'm still recovering from that bite, but the opening of Dracula will be put on by the Northern Marianas Music Society, and it will open on October 28th, and it will run through, of course, Halloween.
I mean, that's real funny. William, what do you like best about Halloween?
Dressing up. Maybe we can do it. I think we can do it while we do the news.
You mean go trick-or-treating during the newscast?
No, dressing up for the news.
Hey, that's an idea. That would be a real treat, huh?
Well, our little leaguers are scrambling to get the funding needed to go to the World Series, and Simpson ties course record to lead the PGA Championship. Our Little League All-Stars are practicing to go this coming Thursday for their participation in the World Series. Already contributions are coming in, but they still need more. Chinese Taipei, winner of the Far East Regional Tournament, was found to be in violation of the provisions of Little League Baseball Regulation 2, which outlines the population limits from which a league must select its players. The Far East League failed to comply with the modification to this regulation prior to the start of the '93 season. The World Series is scheduled for the 23rd through the 28th. There are 8 regions competing in the World Series: USA East, West, South, and Central, Latin America, Europe, Canada, and the Far East. It is history in the making. It's the first time Saipan will be competing in this prestigious event. Our district administrator, Congressman Tony Camacho, had this to say.
Looking back at all the records I know of, I was with the Little League since 1974. And up to now, we haven't even come to the discussion that we will be representing the Far East and the world in the World Series at Williamsport, and it is a very good opportunity to take advantage of this of our selection to represent the Far East. It helps exposure for our players. It helps to expose of our sports activities here, and it helps to bring forth more players next year and the years to come.
You can send your contributions to either Patrick Tenorio, Bill Skovich, or Congressman Tony Camacho. Let's send our little guys to the World Series. In tennis, Saipan's top junior tennis player Sung Won-young stunned 5th-seeded Adam Johannesson of Papua New Guinea 2-6, 7-6, 6-4 to move into the quarterfinals of the ITF South Pacific Junior Tournament in the Kingdom of Tonga. Coach Jeff Race attributed Yun's success to the change to a more attacking style, which allowed Yun to win more points at the net. The NMI's Arisa Sakai also moved into the quarterfinal with a 6-0, 6-0 pounding of Familia Fano of Tonga and a walkover in the following round. And that ends the first part of the Miller Sports Page. Don't go away. I'll be back with scores in baseball. It's tea time, and Scott Simpson has taken over the lead from Lanny Watkins after the first round of the PGA Championship. Let's go to Toledo for all the small ball action.
Here's a look at the action. That's John Bailey's bag. No drivers and no woods, but who needs them? Look at this chip he turns in here on 15. Nearly enough to hold it in. Daly with an even par, 71. Now Ed Romero setting the early pace. The birdie on 12 gets him to -6. Nicely done. And Tom Watson, he's in the hunt. This from 260 yards out on the par 5-8. He nearly gets it to go for the double eagle. Oh, missed it by 6 inches. A single eagle, though, to go to -1. Defending champion Nick Price struggling most of the day, but sets up one of his few birdies on number 9. Watch him just pull that string. It's a yo-yo. Come on back. It sets up a birdie and gets him to 2 over par. Lanny Watkins, the shot of the day from 120 yards out. He dribbles it in. He bounces it in.
This might release right at. Look out.
Bingo, right there for an eagle on 11. And now Phil Mickelson right there, chipping in for birdie on the trap at 18. Yes. Mickelson, 4 under par, 67. 57 guys today breaking par, and we'll talk more about that on Sports Tonight. Now, baseball, the Orioles and the Tigers talking about getting broke. Bottom of the 5th, the Tigers' Chris Gomez singles in Rob Deere. That gives Detroit an 8-4 lead. It would get worse. The Orioles answer in the top of the 6th, though. Mike Devereaux with a 2-run big fly off Bob McDonald, capping a 4-run inning to tie the game at 8. But in the bottom of the 6th, Chad Kruger hits the 3rd grand slam for the Tigers in as many games against these guys. 12-8 Tigers. They go on to win it 17. That is 17-11. The Tigers have outscored the Orioles 47-17 in the last 3 games.
Let's go to the Miller scoreboard now. In the National League, the Philadelphia Phillies defeated the Montreal Expos 7-4. The Rockies stoned the Dodgers 4-1. The Astros branded the Padres 5-3. Chicago beat Florida 5-1. The Pirates edged the Cardinals 5-4 in 11 innings. And the Braves banged the Mets 8-4. In the American League, the Twins killed the Blue Jays 9-2. In 11 innings, Cleveland beat Milwaukee 8-6. Kansas City stopped Chicago 4-2. New York defeated Boston 4-1, and Texas stopped California 4-2. There was one exhibition football where Montana made its debut with the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost to Buffalo 30-7. And that ends the Miller Sports Page. I'm Longshot Willie. Don't go away. Vicky will be back with the weather report.
Good evening and welcome back to our last day of the week's weather report. Let's start our report right to our forecast for this evening. Expect mostly cloudy skies with isolated light showers. Winds usually 5 to 10 miles per hour, gusting up to 15 miles per hour, and the low temperature in the mid-70s. Our seas tonight will be slight to moderate, 3 to 5 feet. Surf conditions 46 feet on southwestern clockwise through northern exposures and 1 to 3 feet elsewhere. Our first tide today was due up at 5:29 with a high of 2 feet, and expect a low tide just hours later at 9:52 of 1.6 feet, and the tide will rise to a high of 2.2 feet at 3:03 early Saturday morning. The sun will set at 6:44 this evening, and sunrise tomorrow morning will be as early as 6:08. And for tomorrow's forecast, expect partly cloudy skies with widely scattered light to moderate showers and isolated afternoon thunder showers. Winds northeasterly 10 to 15 miles per hour, gusting up to 25, and the high temperature in the near 90s. And that's all for our weather report.
And heads up on the Jimmy Cliff concert scheduled for 8 o'clock Sunday night at the Hyatt Hotel. The proceeds of the concert will go to the CNMI's disaster services. That's according to Red Cross chairperson Heidi Dennis. And if traditional dancing is more along your line of entertainment, be sure to check out the Chukis Association's general membership party tomorrow, beginning at 10:30. The festivities are scheduled for the Carolinian Ute in Garapan. And CUC officials want to remind the public that they've scheduled a 2-hour power outage for Sunday between 8 and 10. The areas affected will be along feeder Upper and Lower Navy Hill, portions of Garapan, Chalanlalao, and Gualarai. Residents along feeder 2 will also be affected, San Jose, Susupi, and portions of Chalancanoa. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you again Monday night. Good night.
Yes.